Welcome back to the channel. Look at the warning sign that's just come up on my dashboard. I'm going to talk to you about that in a bit. Don, what I thought I'd do today is a review, an update review on this bike that I've had for about 20 months, 21 months, something like that. I got it in January 2023. And this bike, of course, is my BMW R1250 GS Adventure. And it's just clicked over 22,500 miles. So the last time I rode this, it only done a few hundred, a few thousand miles on it. I've not had it long. So I've really been racking the miles up over the last 18, 20 months or so. You know, I use this bike a lot. I don't have a car anymore. Got rid of my BMW M2 a couple of years ago now. Solely to bikes. So this is my daily driver, daily rider. I use it for commuting. I use it in my role as an examiner for IAM Road Smart. I do some instructing and coaching on it. Do some instructing at the IAM skills days on circuits, so it even gets an airing on track. One thing I don't really do with this bike is use it off-road, except for today. I'm up on the A68 just south of the Scottish border, heading towards Jedburgh. I'm going to turn off shortly. I'm going to go along Kielder Forest Drive, which is, if you've never been up here, it's about a 12-mile gravel road that runs between the A68 and the north end of Kielder Reservoir. It's a toll road. I don't know if you pay at this end or at the other end. So for a change, I'm going to do a little bit of off-roading. I've not got any kind of off-road tyres on it. I have Michelin Anarchy Roads on it at the moment, which has been a really good tyre. I'll probably do a separate review of those tyres. But I'm just going to let you know what I think about this bike, what it's been like as a long-term owner. I know the 1300 GS Adventure has just been announced. I'll give you my thoughts on that. A bit later on as well, but sorry, just trying to find my way onto the Forest Drive from here. I've got my sat-nav on. But yeah, I thought I'd just give you a few thoughts about this bike, what it's been like over 22,500 miles ownership. The first thing I'd say is I've really enjoyed owning this bike. I sound like I'm getting rid of it. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm keeping this bike for a bit longer yet, but I've really enjoyed the time I've had with it up to now. On the whole, it's been pretty reliable. I've had a couple of bits of issues with it, but nothing major and nothing I don't know, what do you expect, what do you not expect? I don't know, let me know what you think. I'll talk you through that as well. In terms of the positives with this bike, it still remains as comfortable and usable as it always has been. So, you know, for me, I said before, I'm 6 foot tall, short legs. This bike fits me perfectly. It's standard height, standard seat. I have the seat set on the higher setting. I can't quite flat foot it on both sides when I'm stationary, but you know, the bike is fine. It's very easy to use. It's lovely at low speeds. It's low speed manoeuvring. It's so light. I mean, it looks a massive lump of a bike, and it's not lightweight. It's 260 odd kilograms, maybe 270 kilograms. Quite a bit more when I'm on it. But actually it's very easy to use. As I said before, I'm no expert in off-roading, but I did do an off-road course early on this year. I did Honda's off-road course in Exmoor. But it's not really off-road. If I'm being honest, this isn't off-roading, it's just a gravel track. It's about 12 miles. Lovely spot, isn't it? Up through Kielder Forest and down towards Kielder Reservoir. Last time I came there was a toll booth at the other end, but we came the other way. So I'll do a bit of standing up when it gets rougher than this, but actually, to be fair, this is alright. Sat in the saddle. So like I was saying, it's a lovely light bike to ride around gently. You're pottering around in traffic. It doesn't look it, but it's relatively easy to filter on this bike. Certainly the filtering that I want to do. Changed jobs last year. My commute is much shorter these days, but I've got various different sites around Bolton that I work from, and it's really nice to use the bike pottering around those sites, going from office to office, seeing my staff in different locations. I said before, this bike is a Swiss Army bike. It sort of fulfills all the different needs that you've got on a motorbike. It's not perfect at any of them, but it's very, very good at all of them. So performance, for example, it's a quick bike. It's not a sports bike, I'm not pretending it is, but it's 136 brake horsepower. I think it's 105 pounds-foot of torque, something like that. And BMW fitted what they call shift cam technology to this engine. I think there's a bit of bull with that, to be honest. Shift cam is variable valve timing, and they marketed it, when the 1250 engine came out, they marketed it as though it was some fantastic new idea. Come on BMW, you've been doing it for 30 years. I had a 1997 BMW M3 Evolution, and that had Vanos on it, which was variable valve timing back in the 90s. It wasn't very reliable. It cost me 1,500 quid, but it when it broke down. But actually, what I'd say about the variable valve timing on this, or the shift cam technology on this, is the switch from different cam profiles. It goes from a shorter opening to a longer opening of the intake valves. It's supposed to be around about 5,000 valves. It's imperceptible, you can't feel it. What you actually get is a boxer engine, 1250cc, big lump, two big pistons in opposite, going in opposite directions. But now it revs out. The old 1200 started to lose a bit of puff towards the top end. This doesn't. It goes all the way around to the 9,000 red line, as smooth as you like. Now, actually, to be fair, that's not where you ride this bike most of the time. When I do instructing on track, we use those higher revs. I'm really out for a blast, yeah, we might do occasionally. But actually, this bike is more effective if you use the torque, the lower down torque, changing up at, for 5,000 to 6,000 is where I'm changing up. A bike, if you want a bike to go out for a blast on a Sunday morning, it's quick enough. You'd certainly easily keep up with your mates on sports bikes most of the time, unless they were getting very, very silly. So performance wise, it's enough. It'll do this stuff. It'll do a lot more than this stuff. Anybody who's seen the BMW off-road course, or the capability of this bike off-road is quite remarkable. It's not the best. For a start, it's not lightweight, it's a big lump, but it's very capable. Not something I do very often, apart from today. As a tourer, it's superb as a tourer. Done a bit of touring on it, went to Scotland earlier on this year, up around the Isle of Skye to the northwest coast. It's very comfortable, you can sit on it all day, you're well protected from the wind and the rain when the weather comes down. Is it a touring bike? No, it's an adventure bike, but it fills that function very, very well. So all of those different things that you want to do on the bike, commuting, having a blast, even take it on track. I take this bike on track 3 or 4 times a year. Now, these are not track days. It's not competitive riding. I'm teaching people who perhaps have never been on track before the basics of track riding. Actually, it's road skills on the track. But this bike copes really nicely with that. And I've not had any problems keeping up with anybody else on those days when I'm instructing. Is it a track bike? No. But it's quite good at it. It's quite good in that role when I need it to be. So I think its description of a Swiss Army bike is fair. It's jack of all trades. It is master of none of them, but it's really, really good at all of those trades. Handling wise, I've read mixed reviews about the handling of this bike. I don't know why. First of all, that boxer engine is quite low down in the frame, gives you a nice low centre of gravity, so low speed handling is nice and easy. But as the pace picks up, it has this clever telelever setup, doesn't it? So certainly on the front end, that resists dive under braking, so the bike isn't really squatting very hard when you're braking, even braking hard. It remains upright. Ride it properly, and this bike handles extremely well. By properly I mean slow down on the approach corner, roll the bike in with a bit of throttle, and then keep some throttle on all the way through the corner. Having shaft drive is a bonus to me. It's one less thing to faff about with when you're you know, when you're maintaining it. If you're doing big miles on a bike, the chain, you're forever faffing about cleaning it and adjusting it and all the rest of it. None of that with this bike. There has been a recall in relation to the shaft drives on these. So it needed a sort of drain hole fitting in it. It was done under warranty. And I think under warranty now these are having new drive shafts fitted at higher mileages. I think it was 90,000 kilometres. So about 56,000 miles, something like that. If you've got one of these, you don't know about that recall, I'll put the information in a link in the description below. You can have a look at that. So what about accessories? Well, of course I bought it a few presents. I bought one of these cool seat covers. Actually, this is the one, I had this on my previous GS and I just transferred it across to this one. Cracking piece of kit. It keeps a bit of airflow around your ghoulies on a nice warm day like this. Lets your farts out. Oh, it's closed. What's that all about? I thought it was all. Oh, that's a bit of a bummer, unless I have to open the gates. Let's have a look. No, there's a padlock on there. Oh, well, that's a blow. Will it fit through there? Not with me riding it. I don't want to get told off by the man. Let's do a little turn round. Well, that's a bit of a blow. If you work for the Forestry Commission, can I give you a tip? If you're going to close this, close it at the start, not 3 miles in. And maybe close it somewhere where there's a bit of a turnaround. That'd be good. Anyway, it's probably closed for a reason, no doubt. Unless the drive goes off, no, it doesn't go off down one of these, does it? Oh well, never mind. You've seen me riding it off-road. I've proved it'll off-road. Come on. I've proved it'll cope with a bit of gravel on road tyres anyway. So. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, accessories, yeah, so the cool seat. The best thing about this seat though is when it's raining, it allows water to drain right through it, so the seat never gets wet. You don't have to carry a towel around with you. Get on this 5 minutes after it's rained, even if you're wearing jeans, and your bum stays dry. So that's a worthwhile accessory. Something I recommend to anybody who gets one of these. What else have I got? I've got a headlight cover. The first one I got was a cheap Chinese copy. Got it off eBay. Lasted me 12 months. It started going rusty around the gills, so I bought a proper one. A Wunderlicht one from Nippy Normans. And that was a better investment. I got that because these headlights are really, really good. I'm not going to demonstrate it to you today because it's middle of summer, but the headlight is really, really good. It sort of turns with the bike, it stays level, it's like a self-leveling thing. It's a very, very clever piece of kit. So you do not want to get a stone chip on it. You don't want to have to replace it. It's a good piece of kit, but it looks very expensive. So I got that cover for the headlight. What else did I get? Recently got this, which is it's a mount for your phone that sits in BMW sat-nav mount. I mentioned before that I had the BMW Navigator 6, which was the biggest and most complete waste of money I've ever had in my life. It was total dross. Even when it was working well, it was rubbish. Then it stopped working. So I fitted this now. It's actually a wireless charger, so it's got little wiring connections on the back that connect into the sat-nav mount. And all you do is click your phone in and it wirelessly charges your phone all day. So you can use your sat-nav all day on your phone, you never lose any battery on it. About 35 quid off eBay. Took 10 weeks to come from China. It didn't take 10 weeks. It took a few. But actually it's pretty good. got that annoying red blob on it. That I sort of feel is a bit distracting on these videos, but otherwise it's quite a good piece of kit. Anything else? What else have I got? I fitted some rubber covers to the foot pegs. The foot pegs that are standard on the Adventure are these really harsh bear trap style pegs, which is probably great when you're off-road, but I might have mentioned it, I don't really ride off-road, so I put these rubber pegs on, rubber covers on. Makes it easier to move my foot backwards and forwards for braking gears, and then back to the balls of my feet again. I fitted the ring for my tank bag, of course. Put the fitment on for my big top box. Don't take the mickey out of my big top box, I've told you I don't have a car. That's my boot, carry all my work stuff around in it. It's good for touring, like my top box. It's a big Givi 42 litre top box that I've got on here. It's about the third bike it's been on, or second or third bike it's been on. Anyway, I've had it for a while. I fitted a little toolbox on the back as well. It tucks away under the pannier racks. That's a really nice piece of kit. It saves you having loads of stuff rattling around in your top box. That means you can go out for a ride without your top box as well. And in there I've got the usual stuff: puncture repair kit, tyre inflator, jump starter, all that kind of stuff. So what about running costs? Well, fuel wise, I have never reset the fuel meter on this, or the trip meter, because I'm just not interested. I don't care. But if you are interested and you do care, I had a look before, it's averaged just around about 50 miles to the gallon in 22,500 miles. Well, you know, I don't know, is that good, is it not? I don't know. For the performance of the bike, sounds alright to me, I don't know. Servicing is never cheap with BMW, and it needs servicing every 6,000 miles. And alternatively, like the 12 and the 24,000 mile services, they're big ones, they're valve clearances apparently. They're a 400 quid service. The 6,000 and the 18,000 mile service, which it's had recently, 3,000 miles ago. They're just an oil change, filter change, bits and pieces like that. They usually come in just under 200 quid. So not the cheapest, but as you know, I've had some money out of the warranties in the past on different bikes, different BMWs. I always feel like the dealers really look after you if you do have any issues. In terms of issues, have I had any problems with this bike? Well, yes. So it actually let me down once, and that was last week. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But the first issue I talked to you about is the one you saw when we just set off right at the beginning. I'll put that back on the screen again. This emergency contact, this SOS button down here. You lift the flap up under it and there's a button. Is that button there? That's the SOS button. It's got a SIM card in it. If you press that button, apparently it'll call emergency services, or if the bike drops, it'll call emergency services. Almost from day one I've had an issue with that, and it's that message that you see flash up on the screen when you set off. Emergency SOS not working, please contact your dealer. So every time it's been in for a service, I've mentioned it to them and they've said, alright, okay, well we'll reset the software, give it a reboot. So they do that and it works for a week, and then you get on it and it flashes up. A couple of times they've mentioned to me, well, it might be when you've not got mobile phone signal, but I've got mobile phone signal at home, I've got it everywhere else, so you can see it happens almost every time you get on the bike. That message flashes up. So the last time I spoke to them, it went in for a service about 3,000 miles ago. Spoke to them about it then, and the receptionist said, yeah, known about it all along this. BMW have got a fix coming in September apparently. There is a fix coming. Oh, look at that. I went the wrong way. I went the wrong way on Kielder Forest Drive. What a dipstick. That's why it was closed. My sat-nav took me left there, blaming the sat-nav. When I play this bike, I will see that the sat-nav didn't send me down there, it sent me up here, and I ignored it. But anyway, what a buffoon. Oh, it's much smoother as well than that other one. So yeah, SOS button never works. I've heard that lots and lots of other people have had the same problem. Tell me in the description below. Sorry, tell me in the comments below if you've had the same problem. I am informed, however, that September there is a software update coming. Whether they'll recall them or not, or whether it will just be done at service, and that software update should fix it. Let's wait and see. It's not a I think it's an optional extra, but it's not one that I spec'd on the bike. It just happened to be the bike they had in stock. What's annoying is it leaves that orange triangle on my dashboard, so there's a problem, and clearly there isn't a problem. But you're riding along, the only thing you see is that orange triangle, which is a bit annoying. So there's that. And the other issue this bike had is that it has been pretty much a paragon of reliability, apart from that little SOS issue. Obviously, I've replaced wear and tear items, tyres, I'll talk about that in a minute. But I went to Blighton Park Circuit in Lincolnshire last week, and I was instructing on a skills day. I did 2 skills days actually. I did the car day on the Thursday, I did the bike day on the Friday. So hello to anybody that saw me there. And I decided to leave my bike at the circuit in the Ginetta garage overnight because it was safer there than at the hotel. And when I came back to the bike on the Friday morning, ready to go and instruct my students on track, it wouldn't start. The battery was flat. We got it going with some jump starters. I went for a ride for about 10 miles, put some charge in it, came back. It seemed to be running okay, turned it off. Went back to it 10 minutes later, flat as a pancake. The battery was absolutely dead. Now you've a number of options, haven't you? You know, if I was at home and I wasn't in a rush, I'd have probably got the bike recovered or somehow got it started and taken it to the dealers and asked them to sort it under warranty, but I was there to instruct and I needed my bike running. So I went to a local bike garage up in Scunthorpe, bought a new battery for it. It was 90 quid. Is it Yausa or Yausa battery? Something like that. Japanese battery. Stuck that on it and it's been fine ever since. My thoughts on the battery going are that, you know, these are a complex 12 volt system. There's a lot of electronic systems on this bike. It's drawing a lot as well as charging. So there is more of a drain on this battery, and it's a much smaller 12 volt battery than a car battery. The thing for me was there was no clue that it was going. It started fine every time, started fine. It never slowed down in the speed it was turning over, right up until the point where it just died. So it was fine, then it was dead. And I think, you know, it's a big lump of an engine this. It probably takes quite a lot of cranking to turn it over, and as soon as your power in your battery starts to drop a little bit, that's it, it's gone. Since I put the new battery on, no issues at all. It's been absolutely fine. So should I go to BMW and say your battery's gone, I want a new one under warranty, or pay me back for this battery? I suppose I could do if I was being difficult about it, but honestly I can't be bothered. Put a new battery on it, leave that, it'll be fine. Tyres, going through tyres at a ratio of 2:1 rear to front. So the rear tyres are lasting about 5,000 to 6,000 miles, front tyres are lasting 10,000 to 11,000 miles, maybe 12 at a push. And when I got the bike, it had Michelin Anarchy, I can't remember what they were called, were they Anarchy Adventure tyres? Yeah, I think they were Anarchy Adventures. They were the standard tyre, they looked the part, bit of an off-road. They were a sort of 80-20 tyre, so 80% road tyre, 20% off-road. They were an excellent road tyre, I have to say. Typical Michelin, loads of grip, really good in the wet. Didn't wear very well. I probably got 4,500 miles out the rear, and the front was starting to square off at that point as well. So I swapped them for my usual, for my favourites, Michelin Road 6s, which are a superb tyre, dry and wet, they wear well, plenty of grip in the corners, that mixed compound's really nice, they really cling on in the corners. And went through 2 sets of those, and then Michelin announced this tyre that I've got on at the moment, which is the Anarchy Road. I really think that this is a Michelin Road 6 with a different tread pattern on it. Honestly, I can't really feel much of a difference between this tyre. It looks more the part on this bike. It's worn really well. The back tyre is squaring off a little bit now. I'll need a new one before autumn sets in. Front is doing really well. But it's been as good as the Road 6s. Still got that mixed compound on it. Wears well. Not the cheapest, of course, but I can't recommend these Michelin tyres enough. And it does look the part on this bike. Although it's an Anarchy though, it's no pretence to being an off-road tyre, but again, you know, I said it before, this isn't off-road, is it? It's just a gravel track. But it's fine on here, absolutely fine. We're doing 30 miles an hour through here. It's coping perfectly well. So I've told you what I like about the bike, I've told you what it's good at, I've told you about the running costs, issues and problems I've had with it. Is there anything I don't like about it? I don't like the warning message system. So that warning message I showed you before saying the SOS thing, that isn't working. That's sort of its default warning message. So whenever anything needs your attention, it flashes that massive message up on the dash. So, you know, if that's a tyre pressure warning, fine, that's what I want, a big warning on the dash flashing, it does flash red when it's a tyre pressure warning. If it's engine oil or something like that, yes, I want a big warning. But when it's just fuel going to reserve, all I need is a light coming on the dash telling me. But on this bike, massive big flash on the dashboard, stop and put some fuel in. You've still got 40-50 miles to go. It's not that urgent that it needs that message. So some of those messages get a bit irritating. What else don't I like about it? In terms of the switchgear is really well laid out. Once you know where it is, you know where it is, but it's 2024 and I think BMW could put some backlights on these now, because as soon as it goes dark at night you cannot see any of this. To get under a street light to see what it says on the switches. So backlit switches would be an improvement. BMW, if you can be bothered getting around to that, that'd be great. I know other bikes do it. I got this bike with gold wheels. I thought the gold wheels looked fantastic on this bike. I will never have another BMW with gold wheels because I just can't get them clean. I've no doubt you're going to put some suggestions in the comments below how to get your gold wheels clean again. Whatever you put in there, I bet I've tried it. I've tried every gumption, I've tried every portion, every wheel cleaner, every iron remover that you can possibly get. So Mrs. Local, I've probably spent a fortune on wheel cleaners. Tried every brush, and I get them clean, but just not that sparkly clean like they are when they're new. So the next bike I get will have black wheels, thank you very much. The rest of the bike cleans up really nicely. It does look nice after a good wash. At the moment it's a bit filthy, to be honest, because I've been using it quite a bit. I'm away for the week on it. Front's all covered in flies and stuff. Anything else I don't like about it? Not really, no. That's about it, really. Unusual little sculpture, isn't it, then? Seats in it. If it's not a bus stop, you'll be waiting a while. There we go. There's the Forest Drive. Down there. Nice little run, this, isn't it? This little run, if you've got any adventure type bike, you want a bit of very, very gentle off-road style riding, have a ride up here, this is nice. Anything else I can tell you about this? The electronics package is really good. Doesn't intervene too suddenly in anything. certainly had the ABS working for me on track. It's not massively intrusive, you can feel a little bit of vibration, but it's not like ABS of old. There is an app that connects to your phone. I don't really use it very much, but it's quite interesting to see your lean angle, check back on your routes, see how fast you were going at different points and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, it's a bit of a gimmick that I don't really use that. As far as rider modes, you can pre-select I think up to 4. I think there's 7 that you can choose from to put on your pre-select button down here, and you can put pre-select on for about 4 of those. So those modes are Eco. Never really tried that, not interested in saving fuel at all, so I've never tried that one. I suppose if you were touring and you got low and you didn't know how far it was to the next garage, fair enough. Otherwise, never really use that. Then there's a rain mode, which softens the throttle response off, puts the electronic interventions on at the maximum point. It's quite comforting to know it's there. I ride this bike in the rain a lot, because it rains a lot in the UK. And there's a road mode, which has a bit more of a linear throttle response. Then there's a dynamic mode, which gives you a sharper throttle response, slightly less intervention from the systems, such as wheelie control, things like that. The front end will come up a little bit before it intervenes. And there's Dynamic Pro, so you can individually select different settings from there, wheelie, traction, things like that. You can dial those right down if you want to. And then there's 2 levels of Enduro mode as well, so Enduro allows things like turning off the ABS, because you'll want to lock your rear wheel sometimes. The sort of things you might, it allows you to dial back on your stability control, traction control, allows a bit of wheel spin, that kind of thing. So there's Enduro and Enduro Pro, again, where you can individually set different settings. So cards on the table here, I just have 3 settings preset. You can preset up to 4, but I have 3 that I use regularly. First is rain. That rain mode doesn't really tail back on the bike's performance, but it's a much more secure ride. You know that that intervention will come in immediately if it gets any kind of wheel spin or anything like that. So if it's raining and the road is really wet, the standing water, I'll have it in rain mode. The second mode is road mode. That's probably 70 to 75% of the time I run with it in road mode. Throttle response is good, quite linear. All the bike's performance, all the interventions are there. Suits the road, does what it says on the tin. The third mode that I have pre-selected is dynamic, just the standard dynamic. It's got a sharper throttle response, little bit of wheelie, not much, and the bike just feels up on its toes, really sort of alert and sharp when you use it in dynamic mode. And that's it. I just have those 3 pre-selected, and I'll swap between those as it suits. The other thing I really like about this in terms of electronics is the ESA, electronic suspension adjustment. So you can adjust both the preload and the damping. So there's 3 settings for preload and 2 settings for damping. Now if you're setting the preload on this, you have to do it with the bike stationary. And there's one mode for a 1 up, no luggage. There's another mode for a 2 up, or a heavier bike with more luggage on. And there's a third mode, which is automatic mode. And effectively what that does is it sort of makes a calculation. When you get on the bike, turn the ignition on, it susses out how much weight there is on the bike, and it sets the preload accordingly. That's the setting I use for that. Why mess about with it? Only if I was carrying a large amount of luggage, or a large pillion passenger, would I start perhaps setting it myself. But other than that, leave that in automatic. The other mode, or the other suspension adjustment that you've got, is damping, and there are 2 damper modes. There is road and there's dynamic. the moment I've got it in road, because road is the softer of the two settings. And this you can do on the fly. So when you're on the move, if you're on typical rutted, potholed British roads, just put it in road mode. Dynamic mode I save for, obviously I'll use that on track, but I'll use it on smoother, faster roads, because it gives you a nice positive dynamic turn into corners. Dynamics are probably a good description of it. Stiffens the bike up. You can definitely feel the difference between the two. I recommend if you've got one of these and you've not tried those two different suspension settings, try it. The first press of the suspension setting brings this menu up here, and that tells you what you're in. The second press changes it to the other one, and then you press it again to change it back. So don't think that one press changes the setting. One press tells you what you're in this case road, and the second press will change that to dynamic, or vice versa. In terms of other electronics, well, bikes have moved on a little bit since this first came out, haven't they? They've now got radar cruise control and all that kind of stuff. This just has ordinary cruise control. I use that an awful lot. You know what bikes are like, just a very minor squeeze on the throttle puts 10 miles an hour on without you realising. So in 30 and 40 limits, tend to click the cruise on, click it on the motorway. I'll do a video about cruise control use, I think, at some point. So what about keeping this bike, moving it on? What are my plans? Well, I got a bit excited the other week because somebody rang me from Bowker's at BMW and said, fancy swapping your bike? We've got some really good deals on brand new 1250 GS Adventures. Now, I knew that the 1300 Adventure was about to be announced, but I do really like this bike, and I probably would swap it for another one the same, probably for no other reason than all my accessories will swap over. So he came up with a price that that was 30 quid a month less than I was paying. I could have a new bike, so I'd already picked the colour and everything. They rang me back and said, sorry, we hadn't realised how many miles you'd done. We thought you'd done 5,000. Done about 20 at the time, so we're in a bit of negative equity with the bike at the moment. So it's not time for a change yet, although perhaps towards the back end of the year, December, January, sometime around then, when I've got 2 years on the bike, I'll start looking to change it. The question is, what will I change it for? Would I have another one of these? Yeah, I'd definitely have another 1250 GS Adventure, and if there's any new ones still knocking about by the end of the year, I'll look to see if I can do a deal on one of those. I say this every time I change my bike, I'd like to try some other stuff, but I will definitely go and test ride Triumph's Tiger 1200 and the Ducati Multistrada V4. But it's got to add up financially for me. It's got to work out financially for me. The other option, of course, is the newly announced R1300 GS Adventure. Now, there's been lots of opinions about this bike. We've only seen pictures of it. Nobody's ridden it yet. I haven't ridden the 1300 GS either, so I've no views on that yet. But everybody's raved about the 1300 GS, certainly as a road bike, which is where I'm going to be using it most of the time. But the 1300 GS, shall we say it's a bit challenging, looks-wise? Now, I'll be honest, I'm not really that bothered about how a bike looks. Not looking at it when I'm riding it along here. I'm more interested in how it rides and whether it does what I want it to do. And I sort of get where they're coming from with this GS Adventure. It's a different look, but there's a lot of practical reasons why they've done that. So the stuff around the tank is for fitting bags and fitting equipment, fitting tank bags and things like that. I get that. It is a bit ugly though, isn't it? I mean, come on. Only its mother would love it. So I think around about the end of the year, beginning of next year, I'll either be on another one of these or a 1300 GS Adventure. Why not? Sort of have this principle where it's never a good idea to be the first owner of a new car or new bike or something like that, but I might take the risk with this one because the 1300 GS has been out for a while and there doesn't seem to be any issues with that. Fundamentally it's the same bike underneath. It just looks like it's been battered with the ugly stick, doesn't it? It looks like it's been made of Lego It'd be very easy for Lego to make a model of that. Fellow adventurizer here on the toll road. Trying to decide whether he wants to do it or not. Hang on.
Hello.
How are you doing? You alright?
You haven't seen a car in the ditch down here, have you?
Have I seen what, sorry?
A car in the ditch.
No, I'd have stopped if I'd seen one. No, definitely not.
Does this take you in a clear water caravan park?
It takes you right through to the A68. This.
Okay.
What was the report? What did you get?
Someone's rolled his car into a ditch.
There are a few little side roads that you can go off into, though. I haven't looked down any of them, but all right, enjoy. Take care. See you soon. Have I seen anyone roll a car into a ditch? Well, had I done, I would have stopped, definitely. I think you got the gist of that. Not seen anybody roll a car into a ditch. The blue lights might make a good thumbnail though for this video. Is that clickbait? Is that what they call clickbait? Stopped by the police in Kielder. Let's give that a go. Anyway, that's all I can tell you about my 1250 GS Adventure. I've been prattling on for a bit. I took a wrong turn. We've not seen anybody roll into a ditch. So, hope you've enjoyed that. Got something from it. Coming out at the other end now to buy a ticket somewhere. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Have you got one of these? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See if you agree with my assessment or not. If you've had any of the same issues that I've had. Let me know. Let me know if you can get these gold wheels clean, because they're a pig. Hate them with a vengeance. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to go and have a look at the website, reglocal.com. Loads more information there about advanced and performance driving and riding. Information about the books that I've written and how you can get a day's driver or rider coaching with me if you fancy a ride out on, well, I was going to say roads like this, but maybe not this one. Maybe we'll avoid, unless you want to. Quite happy to bring you up here. Thank you very much. Well, ride out to Kielder if you want. Let me know. Drop me an email through the website. But for now, thanks very much for watching. Let's find the pay machine around here somewhere. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.